Ramakatha Rasavahini, Prema Sudhamritavahini, Sathya Sanatani Dharma Swarupini, Shanti Pradayini Mokshakarini, Ramakatha Rasavahini, Ramakatha Rasavahini.
We discussed last week. We read about or studied about Dasharatha, who was childless after his first marriage, was feeling sad that he was not having a son. With the help of the scholars at the palace as well as the ministers, he also consulted Queen Kaushalya, and with all their support and encouragement, he married Sumitra, who was endowed with many noble qualities. Even after that marriage, after a few years, when he did not have children, he heard about the daughter of the king of Kekaya, Kaikeyi, about her beauty and so on. So he was interested in marrying her. And the queens who knew about the husband's wishes felt that they should support him, and they exhibited good qualities of sahana, that is forbearance, and so on, and they encouraged the king to marry. Swami says they possessed three good qualities. One was compassion, one was sacrifice, the other one was sahana, which is forbearance. And they felt that the king's happiness was the one which they really wished, and they were willing to go sacrifice anything, and they asked the king to marry Kaikeyi. However, the king of Kekaya had some stipulations saying that the son born out of Kaikeyi alone should inherit the kingdom and should be crowned as the king. So the king was a bit hesitant about that. But the queens felt he should still go ahead, saying that the children born out of wedlock will be shining examples of dharmic conduct, and they did not fear anything, and they encouraged the king to get married. So the king went ahead and married and returned triumphantly with the three queens. And he looked after all of them with equal love. And the queens also were like sisters, as if they were the children of one mother, and they were cordial and cooperating, and they led a very pious life. I think some of the discussions we had related to why did King Dasharatha did not consult the gurus or the rishis like Vasishta, whom were consulted by his ancestors. So that was something which we discussed. Also, we came to the conclusion that human beings should not try to resolve their problems by themselves, relying only on their abilities and intelligence, because that can land them into further problems down the line, which was seen in Dasharatha's life. And so those were some of the discussion points from last week. I did a slightly elaborate summary because last week we could not record the session. If there were any points which I left out, I would encourage others to share so that we will record it and as part of this, and anyone who is listening will be able to revisit this story. I'll stop here. I will ask Uncle Gopalan to
Sai Ram.
just read what we have. Uncle, that was the last session, last slide which we read last week. Please go ahead.
The words of the queens fanned his native ardor to even brighter flame. Therefore, the king sent Garga back with many presents, agreeing to the terms and informing the king that he was following fast the wedding ceremony. The ceremony itself was celebrated with lavish magnificence. Dasaratha returned to his capital, shining like the moon amidst the stars, when he passed through the streets in procession, accompanied by the three queens. The king treated each one of them with equal consideration. They too evinced equal love and respect towards each other and the king. They adored him and were afraid to displease him. They endeavored their best to carry out his wishes and not to hinder his desire, for they revered him as their God. In the tradition of the true wife, they lived with such intimate mutual love that it appeared as if all three had but one breath, though they moved about as three bodies.
You're muted.
We have already done the Telugu portion of it.
Yes, Auntie. It's just if anyone would like to discuss any of the points here, we can discuss. Otherwise, we're going to a new chapter in English, I guess. So let's pause here and see if there's any interest. Okay, I think we can move on, Saisha, please. Uncle, you can read.
Years passed, the king and the queens crossed the bounds of youth and middle age and approached the realm of old age. There were no signs of a son. Therefore, though the women's apartments of the palace had all the comforts and accessories needed for happy existence, the hearts of the queens were torn by unrest, anxiety, and despair. One evening, the four, the king and his queens, sat in a room of the palace, spending hours of anxiety of the future of Ayodhya and the prospects of its prosperity and safety, and each attempted to answer intelligently and pleasantly. At last, unable to resolve the problem, they rose heavily dejected and decided that they should consult the family preceptor Vasishtha and accept his advice. At break of dawn, Vasishtha was respectfully invited to grant his presence. Many pundits and counselors were also called for consultation. The king placed before them the problem of finding a successor to rule the vast realm between the two seas, the imperial domain under the sway of the Raghu dynasty. Overcome by despair, Dasharatha prayed to the elders in plaintive terms for beneficial suggestions.
Sai Ram. Can I read? Sai Ram?
Sai Ram, Auntie, please read.
Okay. This is the third chapter in
Telugu.
Sri Rama Jananamu.
Yes, Auntie.
కాలము గడిచిన కొలది రాజునకు రాణులకు యువావస్థ దాటతొడగిను.
So as time progressed, the queens and the king were passing beyond their age of youth.
వృద్ధాప్యము ప్రారంభమాయను.
the old age was beginning.
కానీ పుత్ర ప్రాప్తి సూచన లేవియను కనిపించకుండట్టే
As there were no signs of a son being born to them.
సర్వ సౌఖ్య సదుపాయములతో అంతఃపురము కళకళలాడుచున్నను
Even though the inner quarters of the palace were having all the comforts and all the auspicious things.
రాజు రాణుల హృదయములందు అశాంతి విచారము తాండవం ఆడుచుండెను.
In the hearts of the king and the queens, peacelessness and sorrow was starting to appear.
ఒకనాటి సాయంకాలము రాజు రాణులు నలుగురును ఒక చోట చేరి
One day evening, the king and the queens, all of them got to one place, gathered in one place.
అయోధ్య భవిష్యత్తు పరిపాలకుడు ఎవ్వడా అని పరిపరి విధముల ఎవరికి తోచినట్లు వారు యోచించుచు
So among them, they were discussing and consulting each other about the future rulership of the country, Ayodhya.
కడకు దేనిని నిర్ణయించుకొనలేక నిరాశ హృదయములై
At the end, they were unable to come to any conclusion and they were disappointed and dejected.
రేపటి తెల్లవారి కులుగురువైన వశిష్ఠుల వారిని రప్పించి
So the next day, they were thinking of inviting the rishi, the guru, Kula Guru, or the guru of the lineage, Vasishtha Rishi.
కర్తవ్యమును విచారించుట మంచిదని దృఢము చేసుకొని
They decided and they were determined that they should find out from him what their duty was.
ఎవరి వసతులకు వారు భారమైన హృదయములతో బయలుదేరిరి.
So all of them returned with heavy hearts.
మరుదినము తెల్లవారగానే మంత్రులను పండితులను రప్పించి
The next day, early morning, they invited ministers and scholars.
కులుగురువకు వశిష్ఠుల వారిని పిలిపించి
They invited or sent word for the guru of the lineage, Vasishtha.
ఈ సప్త ద్వీపయుతమగు వసుంధరను పాలించు భవిష్యత్తు రాజెవరో.
So this earth, this land, which includes the 7 islands, and the future ruler, whoever it is.
అను అంశముపై చర్చను ప్రారంభించి మహారాజు నిరాశ మనస్కుడై గురువులారిని అనేక రీతిలో ప్రార్థించి
He began the discussion about this topic with others with a sense of dejection. In many ways, he beseeched their guidance.
ఇందుకు తగిన సలహాను ఆశీర్వాదమును అందించమని కోరెను.
He asked them for counsel as well as blessing from all of them.
That's all.
Thank you, Auntie. Sai Ram, everyone. So I think it's rather simple. At last, King Dasharatha and others realized that they should consult Vasishtha Rishi, and that's what they did. I will open it up for any discussion anyone would like to.
Sorry, Uncle. One question on the Guru. The sentence before this land, which includes the 7 islands. What was that sentence, Uncle?
In Telugu, you mean?
Yeah, in the English translation.
So Swami says, Swami in
The
the
early morning next day.
early morning, he invited the ministers and the scholars, and also sent word for Vasishtha Rishi to come. And when then he discussed with them the future rulership of the land consisting of the 7 islands, and who should be the king for this, who will have the appropriate characteristics or qualities. And that discussion he started with them. And during the
What is
discussion,
this? What is the 7 islands? The land of the 7 islands?
so the entire earth is considered to be having 7 islands. I think the only equivalent. So I will stop here. Others would like to share. The Saptadvipas. I guess I thought somebody was saying what Saptadvipas are. So the thing is, the 7 Saptadvipas are considered, there are multiple names. I'll just read out. Jambudvipa, Plakshadvipa, Salmaladvipa, Kushadvipa, Kraunchadvipa, Shakadvipa, and Pushkaradvipa. Okay. These are considered 7 land bodies which consist of the entire earth. So I think that's what Swami is referring to here. I will stop there. So I think you can see all the continents of earth, you can see. The continents are nothing but also islands, which are, so I think that's these 7 Dvipas have been mentioned in most of the Puranas as encompassing the entire earth. Okay, so I'll stop there. Others, anyone would like to share any thoughts?
I think in Bharat is considered in Jambudvipam.
Yes, Auntie.
Jambudvipam, Bhartakande, Bhartavarshe. They say, no? When they say that, Sankalpam.
Yeah. Yes, Ron, please go ahead.
Just a small observation in the middle paragraph where it talks about the discussion between Dasharatha and the queens. It mentions that each attempted to answer intelligently and pleasantly. So I just thought that's something worth contemplating on the process of properly discussing things. That's all. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much. So Swami says, I think that's only appearing in English. I don't know whether, Auntie, is there anything similar?
It's not that ఎవరికి తోచినట్ల వారు యోచించు కడకు దేనిని నిర్ణయించలేక.
So everyone shared what their opinion was, but they could not come to any conclusion or unanimous agreement.
There is no mention of intelligent and pleasantly talking or anything like that. It's just mentioned that they came out their own with their own opinions.
Yes, sir. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sai Ram, brother. I just wanted to know the last paragraph at the break of dawn. Is there any importance for that in the morning for this discussion? They were inviting the sister at the early morning, kind of.
Yeah, so I will open it up for anyone to comment. Does anyone see any significance to the morning? Is the questions. Tellavarigane, that's what Swami has said. As the sun was rising, as it was getting, dawn was approaching. So I think early morning. So that's mentioned. I think generally anything auspicious people undertake early morning. And also everyone is fresh, and I think King Dasharatha did not want to waste any time also, I guess. So I think those are the points which I can think of. Anyone else would like to share anything?
Sai Ram Anna.
Sai Ram Bina.
Regarding this early morning, just came to my mind because the Rishi Munis, they do Samadhi, Murat pujas and rituals, and they offer their to God all this early morning only, being in the either in the river or so, or bank of the river. They lot of puja they do it, and it is most auspicious time. But apart from there, in their samadhi, in their puja, even they at that point they know what is coming, and they are actually ready to give the answers even in that point. They are all knowing it what is coming, so they are almost ready, and that's what I have to say, that perhaps Vasishta already knew that is coming to come. He should be ready for the answer at the right time. So, and that's why it's break of dawn. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Bina. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share anything or discuss any of the points? I guess no. Then yes, Sai Ram, Sai Satish.
Bhagawan, I was just trying to again contrast King Dilipa's way of approaching versus King Dasharatha's. When King Dilipa was plagued with that issue, I think he, along with his queen, they went to the preceptor's place. They, leaving aside everything, they immediately went, knowing that the Guru will guide them to the solution. And here, I just made a thing where King Dasharatha, no doubt he respectfully invited, but he's, in one way, it is asking the Guru to come to the palace. And also having many pundits and counselors also for consultation. It just shows a different kind of an approach, which also, it's like he's tried several things, and it took a while for him to realize that the solution would come from the Guru, but the manner in which at that time that was executed also is an interesting thing. So just wanted to highlight, nothing additional, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. That yes, Rono Bina.
On that note, I also thought that yes, it is approaching different, and perhaps that's why the result is also different. I guess he didn't say go to the Go Seva or something like that. It's perhaps the complete result is also going to be different in that case, as we know that what Putra Kameshti Yagna or Ashwarita Yagna. So it is a different approach. Even in a result, it is a different approach. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Bina.
Okay, just on Anna's point, I'm gonna say, I think just the environment also that they were in matters, because when they went to visit, in Dilipa's case, they went to an ashram, which I'm sure also benefited them, the environment that they were in versus the palace where they've called the ministers.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good thing about studying, some of this. It gives you various examples and we can emulate which appeals to us. And it also contrasts each person, how they have approached their problems, the humility they showed. Actually, in the case of Dilipa, he did not want anyone else to come. If I remember correctly, he didn't want anyone to come. He himself drove the chariot and went with the queen. So, sometimes those things also, denote what the results would be and how beneficial the results will be. In the case of Dasharatha, of course, Rama was born to the King Dasharatha, but I don't know how much he benefited from that. So I would say, yes, Rohit, please go ahead.
So, Sai Ram uncle, continuing to this point that everybody has been discussing about King Dasharatha asking for the presence of Rishi Vashisht at the. So, I mean, Rishi Vashisht is one of the great Saptarishis, the pinnacle of spiritual enlightenment. So, was Rishi Vashisht at that moment of time too at the spiritual enlightenment, or was he, respectfully, was he in the process of being spirit? Because if he was already at that level, then then why was he a court preceptor instead of being like a master who was like mysteriously in the wild and you would have to go and kind of hunt for his presence? So was he at that level at that time, or was he still in the process? Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Rohit, for the question. Anyone would like to answer this question? Yes, Sai Satish.
Hi, Ramana. I think earlier also it was mentioned how all these people were just waiting for the birth of Lord Rama, and they knew that since the Lord himself is coming, they will have to gain some service at the court of the king so they can be in proximity to the Lord when he is born and enjoy those leelas of the Lord. Because every time, of course, when they are in that state of um, uh, they perceive the absolute in the formless aspect, but to perceive the one in the form, and that too as a baby, and see all of those leelas, I think that was what drew them to come as a preceptor and so on. So I think Swami has mentioned this earlier. They were already enlightened. They were just performing their duties to get their proximity with the Lord. That's all. Sarah.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to add anything to this? Yeah, actually, Swami had already mentioned what was asked, because I think there's a question from Parikshit, if I remember correctly, in the first chapter. And, why these rishis, who were all, though they had given up the world, why they were part of the administration or something like that. There was a question from, and that is when Swami is explaining the role of the rishis in general, guiding the kings, number one, because they felt it was for the welfare of the world, number one. Number two, people like Vashishta really didn't, were really keen that they are around in Ayodhya when Sri Rama is born. So I think those two questions were asked and answered, Rohit, in the first chapter. You may want to do some review of it. Thank you. Anyone else would like to add anything? Ron and Beena?
Sai Ram, I have a question here. Is that the curse from the Rishi compared to the boon getting an enemy? Regarding that, I would like to know it's what is most effective or so. So here in King Dilipa's time, he got the curse, and here Ravana got the boon that Dasharatha should not have uh, children. So I would like to just know if anyone can explain a little bit, like any kind of a way between two of that you can compare anything, or how it is, how it works in a way.
Thank you very much, Beena. Anyone would like to discuss this? So in the case of King Dilipa, there was a curse. And what could be the reason for Dasharatha? Because Ravana himself asked for a boon to harm Dasharatha. So no fault of his from the looks of it. Anyone would like to comment on it? Yes, Sai Satish, please go ahead.
Paramana. So one thing we see is whether it's a curse or a boon ultimately is dependent on how the individual receives it. So in the case of Dilipa, no doubt it was a curse by Kamadhenu. But ultimately, what it brought out when the king learned about that curse was that complete attitude of humility, going to the guru and ultimately serving the cow. So it helped the king learn the lesson of one is humility and how a king, even for a second, they should not step out of that mindset to revere and adore. So I would say that ultimately it helped King Dilipa realize that. So that curse, though it appeared as a curse, I think it became a blessing to essence that lesson for the king. In the case of Dasharatha, again, I think, yeah, though it was a boon given to Ravana, ultimately, in the broader scheme of things, it became a boon for humanity itself because of the descent of Lord Rama. So Ravana thought he got a boon, but actually humanity got the boon. And looking at it as a curse for Dasharatha because of a boon to Ravana, again, the same thing. If that whole process of Dasharatha going to Vasishta would have happened like in the case of Dilipa, like we already discussed, again, the outcome could have been different with the way Dasharatha would have benefited out of it. Because ultimately, in this case, we see Dasharatha loses his life again because of that same attachment that he had for his queens and for his son. So ultimately, though it was a boon for humanity with Lord Rama's coming, it how much King Dasharatha benefited out of it is something everyone can answer for themselves. So just shows how ultimately it's not whether a curse or a boon, because everything happens by the will of the Lord, and the recipient, how they perceive it and take that and put it into their life really defines whether that becomes a blessing for them or not. I'll pause here. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Anyone else would like to comment? So, okay, Biraj, maybe I will comment. See, the thing is, we think Dilipa did not get child because there was a curse. But we should also look at why there was a curse. There was a curse only because at one occasion, King Dilipa ignored the cow, the Kamadhenu, and he was so busy, focused on his official works as a king. And that indiscretion itself brought about the curse. So in life, whether it's a curse or boon or whatever, ultimately everything is a result of our own actions. So in the case of Dilipa, there was one minor transgression. And in spite of all the good qualities which he exhibited. So you can imagine Dasharatha, he wanted the Vasishta to come. And you can see anything in this world is not because of somebody else. Whatever each of us go through is because of our own actions. So we should not necessarily look at it as from a curse perspective. We should look at it from what was the action and what was the result. What was the karma committed and what was the result. That is the way the world operates. So we ourselves were able to see, there were no real mention of Dasharatha doing, anything, looking after the Vedic scholars or anything like that. He was also going into the forest once in a while with Kaushalya. He was leading a more worldly life, is what we all discussed. though he was a righteous king, he must have done his duty well. However, there was some element of spirituality which was missing, I guess. Even when, rishis like Vashishta was there. Vashishta right away came. He sent word in the morning and he came. So the thing is, so did he give enough respect to Vasishta at each of the points? At no point before it mentions that he went to the Vasishta and said, I'm going to get married. He only consulted the ministers and the queen. So we can see every action we perform will have some commensurate result. It does not necessarily have to be a curse or somebody, wanting us to do bad or somebody asking a boon. In spite of that, maybe that also may not have happened. So we don't know. It's again speculation. But I think one thing we can all be sure, our actions will bring about result, not necessarily because of somebody else's boon or somebody else's curse. So that's the way I look at it. So I will stop here if anyone else has something to say. Yes,
Cool.
Sanjay.
Right. I just have a quick question. What Satyeshana mentioned, when Satyeshana talked about the curse and the boon, I'm trying to kind of make sense of even this avatar that Rama has taken, right? This, like the principle of avatar being taken is when God descends, when there's a threat to Dharma, when there's a rise in Adharma. In Dashratha's case, this whole yajnam that was performed to have was out of this, I guess, aiming for sons for both the king and the queens. Now, I'm trying to understand if there's any correlation between this like yearning from a worldly aspect versus this, this incarnation that came through this worldly yearning. I understand that there was a rise in Dharma with Ravana's in Ravana's case, but I'm trying to see if there's a correlation between the two and trying to understand how it's possible that through this worldly yearning, he was still, I guess, blessed with Rama as his son.
Okay, good question, Sai. I think anyone who would like to answer, and Sanjay, you had raised your hand, and
No, I just wanted to add to what both you and Satish said. In the long run, with the hindsight being 2020, I wonder if Ravana would ever have thought he had gotten a boon. What might seem a boon in the short run, in the long run might be actually end up being a curse, and vice versa. So I just wanted to add that, but yeah.
thank you, Sanjay. So I think
Sai Ram, brother.
yes, Sister Aruna, go ahead.
Sai Ram, brother. The curse, it's not I think that I just wanted to add something to your point. The curse also is based on our action. Am I right?
Yes, sister.
Yeah. So that also we have to consider. It's a consequences of our action only. But how that you're going to receive its matters. Uh, I thought I'd just add to that. And I was asking that question at the why we have to consult or anybody at the dawn time, because to see whether in our problems anything also it's need to be dealt with in the morning time to have the grace of God or something like that. So that is the I'm trying to see how that works for us on our life. That's it. That's the reason for my question. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Sarah.
I understand, sister, that it's morning for you. But we are in the evening time. So maybe you are getting more benefit out of this discussion. But anyone else would like to answer Saishan's question? His question was, Dasharatha was, he has a worldly desire having a child. And, we are all talking about, about the boon and of Ravana and all that. Then how did Rama take birth in his life? Even though he had a worldly desire, Rama was still born. He got the avatar as his son. How can we understand or reconcile this? I think that's the question which Saishan asked. I don't know, Saishan, whether I've rephrased your question the way I understood. Anyone who would like to comment on it? So if we have worldly desire also, maybe God will be born to us. Okay. Dilipa was such a great person, but he didn't have Rama as his son. So what is the distinguishing feature is Saishan's question, I would say. I will open it up for anyone to discuss. It's a very nice question.
Also, just uncle, if there's any relation at all, if there's a Dharma, the avatar comes down and descends and takes form, or if there's any relationship between the two, if it's separate.
Yeah, but still the question is, why should he be born for Dasharatha? He can be born to anyone else also.
Right.
Okay, so so your question is well, I understand. We'll open it up for anyone to discuss. Yes, Sai Satish.
Ramana. Of course, we are seeing it in the context of one is Ravana's boon and other is Dasharatha's situation.
Mhm.
But overall, we also know that a lot of these sages and saints at that time, they have been praying for the Lord's descent, because even as Ravana asked for the boon, he didn't stop at that. He wanted to ensure that his might or his rule over the earth is growing, so the demonic forces were only on the increase. And the prayers of the saints and sages and all the devotees for the Lord's descent was also increasing, because when the Lord comes, it is one point which is a culmination of several things. It's like the destruction of the wicked, the restoration of Dharma, inspiring all of those devotees to walk that spiritual path. So several things happen it's a culmination of all of those in the birth of the avatar. But coming to the question of Lord Rama being born to Dasharatha, I think in the subsequent things, we will also see how ultimately sage Rishyashringa comes, the Putra Kameshti Yajnam is performed, and some of the what we see as the yajna being performed, going in line with the tradition and prescription, also is at the level that can be, of course, no sacrifice is high or low. It's finally the quality of the sacrifice that matters. But at the same time, the tradition that is followed for implementing that with sage Vashishta officiating over it, ultimately brought that. It's not just Dasharatha did that yajnam and he got Lord Rama. It was the coming of sage Rishyashringa along with sage Vashishta, and all of that culmination points which happened. Basically, Dasharatha could create that conducive environment where several of these things came together to ultimately have the successful culmination of that yajnam. But I'll pause here, Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sai Satish. Yes, Sister Vani.
Sai Ram, brother. So I was just thinking, we were reading about all the lineage of Dasharatha and, so many generations. And then, these, the goodness, the good karma adds on to 7 generations. They say maybe they have enough accumulation of good karma that warranted God to be born in that lineage. Perhaps I was just thinking like that.
Thank you very much, sister. Very nice point. Very valid point. Yes, Brother Rohit.
Yes, Sai Ram, uncle. Actually, I was just about to say whatever, just very similar to what Sister Vani just said. I mean, in the last couple of, not couple, but a few classes, I think as we have gone through different generations of this lineage, I think I found a common point where we are all praising each of the king as to how they were all such high quality, high dharmic people following the dharma and leading ideal lives. So I think adding to what just Sister Vani said, I think it was almost like a tapasya that happened through the generations, and it culminated at King Dasharatha becoming the father. So I like similar to how when goddess Ganga had to come down, it was not Rishi Bhagirath who had started the puja. It was actually started like 2 to 3 generations before, and it culminated at Rishi Bhagirath experiencing the success of Ganga flowing down. So I think this is just a culmination of tapasya for all these different generations that have led an ideal life, and the Lord decided to take birth. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Rohit.
Sai Ram.
Yes, Auntie, please go ahead.
When avatars decide to come onto the earth, they choose their own parents. That's what we have heard. We human beings, we are born out of our own karma. And our karma pursues us till we are born in a particular family. But Bhagawan, to take avatar, he chooses his own parents. That's what we have heard. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Yes, Sister Banu.
Yeah, Sai Ram. I heard this. I heard in Upanyasas it was said that Kausalya, or Lord Ranganatha, was the Kuladaivam of Sri Rama. We all know that. Kausalya was a great devotee of Lord Ranganatha, and she worshipped Ranganatha so much, and she wanted that Ranganatha should born to her. That's why Ranganatha blessed her that he will born as a son to her. So that is the one reason. The another reason is Dasaratha did so many dharmas, no, the dhanams and dharmam and annadanam. He did annadanam in a huge manner. So that act on seeing the no, actually that the how what they say, he that dining hall, he will allow all those who want to take annadanam, he allow everyone and close the hall and start serving full for 1 round, 2 round, 3 round, like that. No, literally they all have no, they said no, enough, like that. Whatever they want, he used to serve. On seeing the way he did annadanam, Lord Mahavishnu decided to become a son of him. These things I heard in Upanyasams. I don't know whether I don't know, is there any scriptures or something. I heard this in Upanyasams.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. I think Sister Aruna had raised her hand and put it down. Sister
Sorry,
Aruna,
brother. Sorry, brother. I didn't put it down. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. Anyone else would like to comment? Yes, okay. Rohit, you have something more to say?
Sorry, my mistake.
Okay, yes, Sister Lakshmi Geeta Reddy.
Sai Ram, brother.
Yes.
I just have a question. Which chapter are we in right now? So that I just want to get up.
English chapter, Sanatana, Ramakatha Rasavahini, 3rd chapter, somewhere in the middle of that chapter.
Okay, somewhere middle of the chapter.
Chapter.
Okay. And after, sorry, yes, brother?
In the Telugu, it is just, we just started the 3rd chapter.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I read English only. I can read Telugu. So no problem. And brothers, Arun, I just want to talk to you. I need your help for something. I reached the Charlotte airport, but after the study circle, can I call you?
I will call, sister.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to comment? I think everyone has touched various points. So Rama being born is a result of many factors. Even though Dasharatha may not have been as spiritual inclined as some of his ancestors, as Sister Bhanu said, he also would have done many great charitable work to deserve that honor. But I think what comes through is Kaushalya had a bigger role in this because she's the one who gave birth to Rama. And Dasharatha, though, he was her husband, he did not have any role in Rama's birth other than, making sure that things happened. And I think as the lineage, a culmination of all the ancestors, all the good work has done, it resulted in Sri Rama being born. Dasharatha was no doubt good, must have been a good person who led a very dharmic life, discharging his duties well. Maybe he was not of the same caliber as someone like Dileepa in exhibiting certain spiritual traits, but he, on his own merit, I think he must have been very deserving. When the Lord chooses who to bless with what, that's a reality. But I think what we can see is how much did Dasharatha benefit from that? Is the question which we have to ask. You may have physical proximity, but did it give you some spiritual growth and benefit of having been close to the Lord in a physical way? Is, I think, something which we have to ask. I think that also depends on certain spiritual sadhana we do. In talking about this, if you look at even Swami's own avatarhood, he was born in a household, though Mother Ishwarama was very devout. Swami was born in a household which was even given to eating meat. That's the reality. So we can say how, even though they were eating meat, how come God took avatar? The reality is God looks at things much differently than us. How he wants to bless, who he wants to bless. But I'm sure each person benefits in their own way, in their own manner. But we can increase the benefit of coming to know of the Lord by working on our own self and that enhancing our own spiritual journey. If we can do, the benefit of knowing the Lord, being in touch with the Lord, will actually be much more beneficial. So it's a very rare opportunity to be like that. It's Jarajanma Durlabham, Swami says, So I think it applies to us also. What are we doing to benefit from coming to know Swami as an avatar? And I think that all depends on our own life, how we conduct ourselves. And I think that comes through all the way. And I think Kaushalya benefited much more from Rama being born. And she did so much sacrifice, even as a wife. Let the husband marry others and put up with that. And that Swami already said so I think she had a bigger role as a mother of Sri Rama. I think there are a couple of padyams where Swami is saying, if not for Kaushalya, Rama will not be born. If not for Ishwarama, Sathya Sai will not be born, and things like that. So I will stop here. Sorry if I was a bit long-winded. Sai Ram. Saishan, I hope your question was reasonably discussed. I'm sure Swami will guide us further. Is there anything else from anyone who would like to? Yes, Sister Banu, please go ahead.
I have a doubt whether Dasharatha realized the Rama as an avatar. Rama, the God has come as his son.
Yeah, I think, Sister, we discussed this a few times in the past few sessions also. And I think his attachment as of a son was much greater than devotion, even though people like Vasishta and Vishwamitra told him so. He was still not willing to accept or embrace that thought, because I think he could not get over the fact that Rama was his son. I think that's my understanding based on our discussion so far. I hope that answers your question.
Sai Ram, thank you.
Sai Ram. If there's anything else anyone wants to discuss, we can discuss. Otherwise, we can move on. to the next slide.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, uncle. Yes.
Years passed. Yeah.
No, uncle. Now only.
Vasishtha dwelt long in thought. At last he opened his eyes and spoke thus: King, you need not grieve thus. Ayodhya will not be rendered masterless. She will not suffer widowhood. This domain will be gay, happy, and prosperous, in unbroken festivity and evergreen festoonery. She will be the guardian of right living, reverberating with music and joy. I will not agree to the raising of a prince from some other dynasty to the throne of Ayodhya. The grace of God is a gift inscrutable. The vow of righteousness which you are fulfilling will surely bring you the supreme joy of having a son. Do not delay any further. Invite the sage Rishishringa, the son of Vivandaka, and perform with him as his high priest the sacred yaga sacrifice called Putrakameshti, the yaga prescribed for those desirous of begetting a son. Make all the necessary ceremonial and ritual arrangements for the yoga forward. Your desire will be achieved without fail. The queens listened to these reassuring words spoken so emphatically by Vasishtha. They were filled with ananda. The bud of hope bloomed anew in their hearts. They retired into their apartments, praying most earnestly.
Thank you very much, uncle. Auntie, can we read?
Yeah. అంత వశిష్ఠుల వారు దీర్ఘాలోచన సలిపి కన్నులు తెరిచి, రాజా, మీరింత విచారించనక్కర్లేదు.
So Vasishtha closed his eyes and thought for a long time, and then opened his eyes and told the king, "O king, you don't need to feel sad anymore."
అయోధ్యకు అతి వియోగము సంప్రాప్తించదు.
So for the kingdom of Ayodhya, there will not be a situation where there won't be a leader.
నిరంతరం మంగళమునే అందుకొనును.
It will always have auspiciousness.
ఈ వసుంధర నిత్య కళ్యాణము పచ్చని తోరణములతో కళకళలాడుతూ కిలకిల ధ్వనులతో ధర్మరక్షణ సాగించగలదు.
This land will be resplendent with all sorts of auspicious things, and also with very auspicious sounds, and it will also make sure that Dharma is protected.
వేరు రాజు కుమరని ఈ రాజ్యాధిపతిగా చేయ నేను అంగీకరించను.
That Vasishtha is saying that he will not agree to make appointing someone else from another lineage as a king in Ayodhya.
దైవ కటాక్షము అపారము.
God's grace is in abundance.
మీ ధర్మవ్రతమే మిమ్మల్ని పుత్రానందమున ముంచి తెల్చును.
Your adherence to Dharma itself will grant you joy of having a son.
ఇక ఆలస్యము చేయక విభాండకము మహాముని కొడుకుగగు ఋష్యశృంగుని పిలిపించి,
without any further delay, please invite the son of a great Rishi Vibhandaka by the name Rishyasringa.
అతని చేత తగిన ఏర్పాట్లు గావించి,
make appropriate arrangements with him.
పవిత్రమగు పుత్రకామేష్టి యాగమును గావింపుడు.
Please perform the auspicious yagam, sacrifice called Putra Kameshti.
తప్పక మీ మనోరథము ఈడేరును.
Without fail, your wish of your mind will be fulfilled.
అని నిస్సంశయముతో పలికిన పదములను తెరలో నుండి వింటూ ఉన్న రాణుల హృదయములు ఆనందతో నిండెను.
So he said so without any doubt. And these words were heard by the queens who were behind the curtain, and their hearts were overjoyed.
నూతన ఆశాసుమములు ముగ్గులు వేయ రాణులు దైవమును ప్రార్థించి లోనికి వెళ్ళిరి.
Their wishes actually sprouted again, and the queens said prayers to God and went inside to their inner quarters. I will stop here. I think it's rather simple. If anyone can discuss any of the points which you saw, heard. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sai Ram, brother. See, they are doing this yaga for a desire to have the son, right? But behind of this desire, there is a broad mind of like a serving the Ayodhya, right? It doesn't applicable for individuals because I don't think it's applicable because God knows we shouldn't pray for some desires like that we learned before. Is something my thought is right on this part? Just wanted to understand.
Thank you, sister. So, sister,
Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sister has a question whether it's the welfare of the country or it's an individual desire. Is it okay to entertain an individual desire? I think those are the questions she had. So I will stop here. Anyone else would like to comment on this? I think there was something similar about King Dilipa also. If I remember, if my memory serves me okay. There were two reasons King Dilipa also wanted a son. I will stop here, and anyone else would like to comment, please go ahead. Yes, Sai Satish.
Ramana. So I was just going to say that one of the way to get to being desireless is to desire less. And when we desire less for ourselves and have the broader good in mind, not only it ensures that that desire asking for the common good gains fruition. No doubt here, Dasharatha is plagued as a father of not having a son. But the greater grief that he and the queens are going through is because they are not having a heir to the throne of Ayodhya. And since the grief for the common good of humanity is more than that of a parent not having a child, that is where the grace of the Guru and rest of what we discussed, the earlier points, all of that happens, and ultimately God or avatar comes down to answer that. So always the king being the heart and the subjects being the body, Dasharatha was truly performing the function of the heart because he wanted a sustained heart to be there to take care of the body. And that is where his whole effort was directed in that direction more than that of a father having a son. It was a king wanting the next ruler to come in. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thank you very much, Sai Satish. Sister Banu.
Sai Ram, yeah, I also wish to say the same brothers Satish told. Actually, Dasaratha was though he was he felt that he should have a son. The main reason is the kingdom of Ayodhya is a huge one and it was well maintained, well ruled. The people were all happy, and if it is masterless, the whole effort will be ruined. That's why he wants the people should be happy. So in a broader scale only, he wished that he should have a son.
Okay, thank you very much, sister. Anyone else would like
I
to?
think, Marco,
Yes, I see.
I think part of the last that you read, I think in the Telugu, I think it said that they were interested in learning what their duty was in their
Oh,
discussion with
the previous slide,
was
previous
it?
slide.
The previous slide. Yeah. I think even in their discussion with Vashishta, they were more so focused on their duty. And I guess what that meant was to uphold Dharma and to find future rulership for Ayodhya.
Yes, thank you. Yes, because I think they had given up the thought of having children, and
Yeah.
that's what he called, in this situation, what do we do? I think that must have been the question. So, and Vasishta is saying, don't resort to any other mean. You will have your own sign. I think
Yeah.
that.
అయోధ్య భవిష్యత్తు పరిపాలకుడు ఎవడు అని పరిపరి విధములతో
Yeah.
యోచించుచు. They did discuss about that. Only the future heir, who is going to be the heir to the throne.
Yes.
Sai Ram.
Thank you. And I think one of the things which we're asking, how come Dasharatha was deserving, I think Vasishta himself is saying, that he was following what's called Dharma Vrata. He was a staunch adherent of Dharma in the discharge of his duties, and that itself, Vasishta said, will grant him a child. So I think some of the things which we discussed is also answered here. So if God's grace will always be there if we are following Dharma. Of course, much more may be needed to seek God's grace and spiritual growth. That's a different matter. But just the fact that we practice Dharma will grant all the joys. That's what
One thing I noticed, Uncle, was I think in both Dilipa's case and Dasharatha's case, it eventually ended up coming to this kind of yajna that needs to be performed with guidance from great rishi or sage.
Anyone else would like to discuss any of the points here? I think the translation in English says, the grace of God is a gift inscrutable. But I think, Auntie, in Telugu, aparamainadi, something like that, no? Is that the translation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Daiva Katakshamo Aparamu.
Yes, aparam, I thought I translated as
Aparamu.
apara means, I don't know,
Beyond limits.
Yeah,
limitless,
that's
right? Limitless.
Par is limit.
Limitless. Abundant is the one I said.
You said abundant, but it can be
Limitless.
limitless.
Because unbounded, boundless, immeasurable.
Boundless, you can say.
Yes. Thank you. So that, it also shows God is always willing to, send grace. Whatever, even if we do something little, He will give 100-fold. I think that came through to me. So even one or two small things will grant us so much grace. So as Swami says, take one step and I will take 100 steps. So I think that came. If everyone is fine, should we just read the next slide? Yes, Sanjay, please go ahead.
I have a question. I think Sister Aruna posed the question as, is there a difference between a prayer of the kind that King Dasharatha had, which has been now established to be in the interest of public, versus a similar prayer by an individual? And the larger question is, is there such a thing as a selfish prayer and a selfless prayer? Was Dasharatha's prayer in some way selfless, or was it selfish in his role as a king? So yeah, some of those questions.
Okay, thanks, Sanjay. Anyone would like to answer? So one thing is for Dasharatha to have this way. So what should be our prayer? So what do we pray for? For ourselves or others, or a mixture of both? I think it's a nice question. Sister Aruna, I don't know whether I think you.
That's the right thing, because we had to know, right? Those days they did it, but that desire is different from people who have the individual desires nowadays. So yeah, that's the right way of thinking. Like we can do the same, follow the same. If any individual wants to do some prayer like that, can they follow that, or it's not for everyone?
Thank you, sister. I think I will ask Sai Satish Atmano Mokshartham Para Hitayacho, something like that. I can't remember Sai Satish, maybe you should say.
Yes, Anna. Atmano mokshartam jagat hitaya cha. Yeah, I'll anyway attempt. So the thing is, I think you have anyway nailed it with that statement itself. While it's two sides of the same coin. One is Atmano mokshartam is when we are working for the redemption of the self, that itself translates on the other side as the welfare of the world. Of course, if we are to look from the sense, each one of us have to pray for the Atma Rama, because the son Rama can go away to the forest, but the Atma Rama is within, and so there is no going away. So if we have to take a leaf, because if you take Putra, Kama, and Ishta, that itself says that one is attachment, one is desire, and other again the Isha. So that itself tells that Putra, Kama, Ishti can be as much binding as we see it as liberating. So if we are bound at the level of the desire and attachment and all of that, then though we are asking in one sense for the Lord, but we are going more after the creation than the Lord himself. So that is where if the true prayer is one that asks for the Lord and Lord alone, everything. So that's where, am I using the prayer to gain something and make God as a transit, or to make God as a destination? If I am using my prayer to every time have God as the destination, then it is realizing the Atma Rama and essencing that. But if I keep making a prayer and go to God asking for some other thing, then I'm placing that some other thing higher than God. And so God becomes a transit. So that is where I'm trying to see. So to Sanjay Anna's thing, I don't know if I can call it selfless, selfish prayer, but I will say, is that prayer helping me essence the Swami within, or is the prayer or the pliya making me more deluded and outward facing rather than inward facing? But I'll stop here. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. So just to summarize, I think Sister Aruna and I think you all know this, but Swami will say, do you want to go to the Kamadhenu or Kalpavriksha and ask for coffee powder? See, if you take even Ravana, he did some tapas, and when Brahma appeared or Brahman appeared, he wasted that opportunity to ask for something worldly, which didn't come to any benefit to him. That's the ideal, the reality. So I think individual desires should be only for mokshartham, and the rest should be for the welfare of the world, which is atmano mokshartham. That's the only thing which we should ask for ourselves, ideally, and we should ask for the welfare of the world. The welfare of the world will also include our welfare. So if we say we want to be well and others need not be, then that's a problem. So world welfare includes us, but we should also individually we can ask for moksha. Yes, Sister Banu, please go ahead.
Yeah, here that selfless selfishness, I will say the prayer should be selfless selfishness. See, for example, now you are all explained it in a very philosophical way. I would like to explain in a very simple manner. See, for example, if you before taking a journey, a flight travel, if someone prays that Swami, the travel should be very safe, I should have a smooth landing and a safe travel and a smooth landing. No, in that, if in such case, he prays for himself only, but at the same time, all the co-passengers will also be benefited. But in the other case, if say if the same person prays to Swami, Swami, whatever happens, I should be saved. If he prays in that manner, that is totally selfishness. So, like that, no, in honesty, some people will do, no, they will fix marriage in a rainy season. And they said, I put coconut in the terrace so that rain will not come. See, it's so absurd. See, why you fix marriage in a rainy season? The rain is not the for the whole people. No, it is a monsoon scene. Rain should come in that scene, in that season. In that season, you fix marriage for your daughter and you pray to God that rain should not come. That is totally selfishness.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sister.
Sai Ram.
So there should not be total selfishness, but selfless selfishness. I think as Sister put it. So I will let everyone take it. It's 10:18. I think it's time for us to close for today. We'll continue. Let's pray that we meet again next week for our own benefit as well as everyone's benefit. We'll close with Samastaloka prayer. Sai Ram. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone.
Sai Ram.